All right, Thursday is in the books here at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. It is cold, but there was a lot going on here today. I'm Dan Labbe. This is Tom Reed. Ray Farmer spoke today. Marcus Mariota spoke today, among others. So we got to hear from a few different quarterbacks. Brett Hundley, a guy I know on a lot of Browns fans' radars. Let's get back to the whole Ray Farmer thing now that we've heard from Mike Pettin, we've heard from Farmer. You can't really put a bow on everything, but at least maybe now the Browns can move on a little.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, Dan. They're hoping that maybe the last thing that's obviously got to fall is what the punishment is. But this was kind of Ray's mea culpa today. Took full blame for what's happened. I thought he did express the right level of humility and all of that. I still think there's going to be some people out there that do wonder if it was all really him sending those texts. He says they were, so I guess we have to take his word, but I think there's a little healthy skepticism there. But yeah, and then obviously he talked about some other football issues, and obviously everyone wants to know about the quarterback situation, but he was very tight-lipped about that.
And, of course, he was asked a little bit about wide receivers as well. Amari Cooper's a guy we're going to hear from tomorrow. There's other guys in this draft that could be potential picks for the Browns at 12 and 19 if Ray Farmer kind of goes out of what we know about him and his view on wide receivers. Is there any chance, though, that he could maybe look at one of these receivers?
Perhaps. Today at the podium he tried to play off the fact, sometimes it's just kind of a smoke screen. But, he's kind of been on record as saying, he doesn't necessarily think that's the most important position on the field. I respectfully maybe disagree a little bit as far as, especially if you know for sure you're not going to have Josh Gordon probably again. It's about time at some point they got to get one of these receivers, and I think there's a couple good ones. I think they can get one of those guys, either a Kevin White, Amari Cooper, or the Parker kid from Louisville. I think any of those guys would really help them, but you would have to get them in the top 20. It's either at 12 or 19.
Another thing he talked about, and I know you asked him a little bit about this, is they kind of restructured their scouting staff a little bit, kind of redid a little bit of how they try to gather information about guys. Do you think that's in direct reaction to what happened with Johnny Manziel and what we found out about Justin Gilbert, or is that just kind of the natural evolution of a guy who's been on this job for just over a year?
I think yes and yes. I think it's both. I think, Ray was hired late last year, kind of had to go with the scouts that he had before. And that's not to say anything bad about those scouts, but, a lot of these guys, you want to feel comfortable with your scouts, especially your area scouts, the guys that really are the boots on the ground, go in and talk to these people. They also hired a new team psychologist since last May's draft. So I think that even Ray kind of admitted today that, even with a guy like Gilbert, could they have found some of this stuff that, they're now calling a personal issue with him? Maybe they could have. I think that they'll certainly be a lot more vigilant this year, although obviously you can argue with Johnny Manziel. The writing was literally in ESPN magazine to tell you what was going on with Johnny Manziel's life.
Mike Pettin said it yesterday. He essentially said you can't just draft guys who are in the school choir, who are on the honor roll, whatever else he said. Ray Farmer today didn't go quite that far, but he mentioned that when they, put players on their board, they do it with them as a player. But do you think that maybe character issues will give this team pause this season?
You would think so. You would think so, especially if you're going to invest a really high draft pick in one. Now, usually teams will make those type of picks later in the draft, or they'll bring in a guy, unrestricted free agent or undrafted free agent. We saw that with Isaiah Crowell, Glenn Winston, guys that had some off-field issues. But you would think so, and especially just with the way the NFL is going with this code of personal conduct now, even with a much stronger penalties for drinking and DUI violations. So it's going to become more and more important in this league to try to have guys that are at least not breaking the law. But the other part, of course, is being a good teammate, being accountable, and there's no question the Browns got burned on that this year.
All right, last question. Again, we heard from some quarterbacks today. Jameis Winston is going to talk tomorrow, but we heard from Marcus Mariota. We heard from Brett Hundley. Bryce Petty spoke today. We'll have video of all of that up at cleveland.com/Browns. You see any of those guys ending up in brown and orange?
I don't think I don't think they would go up for Mariota. They might, but It's going to be a pretty steep price. Yeah, one of the other guys may end up being there because I think it would be wise to take a mid-round quarterback and try to develop him. Bryce Petty is a guy I wrote about a couple weeks ago from the Combine. He's one of these, much like Mariota, a system quarterback that's really learning to play the pro game. And maybe you bring in a guy like that, not with the designs of being a starter in 2015, but look, if you can work with him and get him to be more of a pro-style quarterback, maybe he's a guy you consider in 2016.
All right, that's a wrap for Thursday here at the NFL Draft Combine. We'll be back tomorrow. Same thing as always, midday report, post-day report, full coverage all day at cleveland.com/Browns from Tom Reed and Mary Kay Cabot. I'm Dan Labbe. Thanks for watching.